Welcome to Millennium Daytime Bulletin. I'm Shweta Simar from New Delhi and you're watching Millennium News Channel 24. Today we bring you the latest updates from around the world. Let's begin with the top headlines. South Korea votes to impeach acting President Han Duck-soo. Azerbaijan says plane hit by external interference over Russia before crash. UN health chief at Yemen airport during Israeli strikes. Estonia Navy to protect undersea power link after main cable damaged. At least 69 dead after boat sinks in Morocco waters. China launches new amphibious assault ship in a race to rival US military. 4 babies die from hypothermia in Gaza as Israel war pushes Palestinians into tent camps. Global markets struggle as US indices face board of sell-off. Seattle Seahawks defense comes alive in low-scoring win over Chicago Bears. Mid-century puts Australia on top against India. Now let's look at the details. South Korea has voted to impeach its acting president Han Duck-soo 2 weeks after parliament voted to impeach its president Yoon Suk-yeol. A total of 192 lawmakers voted his impeachment, more than the 151 votes needed for it to succeed. Prime Minister Han took over the role after President Yoon was impeached by Parliament following his failed attempt to impose martial law on 3rd of December. Han was supposed to lead the country out of its political turmoil, but opposition MPs argued that he was refusing demands to complete Yoon's impeachment process. Chaos erupted in the parliament as the vote was held on Friday. Lawmakers from Yoon and Han's ruling People's Power Party, that is PPP, protested after National Assembly Speaker Woo Won-shik announced that only 151 votes would be needed to pass the impeachment bill. This meant that unlike the 200 votes required for Yoon's impeachment, no votes from ruling lawmakers would be needed this time for Han to be impeached in Parliament. Ruling party MPs gathered in the middle of the voting chamber chanting invalid and abuse of power in response and called for the speaker to step down. Most of them boycotted the vote. Han will be suspended from his duty as soon as he is officially notified by the parliament. The opposition first filed an impeachment motion against Han on Thursday after he blocked the appointment of 3 judges that the parliament had chosen to oversee Yoon's case. Korea's constitutional court is typically made up of 9 bench members. At least 6 judges must be upheld to Yoon's impeachment in order for his decision to be upheld. There are currently only 6 judges on the bench, meaning a single rejection would save Yoon from being removed. The opposition has hoped that the 3 additional nominees would help improve the odds of Yoon's getting impeached. This is the first time an acting president has been impeached since South Korea became a democracy. Finance Minister Choi Sang-mok is set to replace him as the acting president. Like Yoon, Han's impeachment will need to be confirmed by the Constitutional Court, which has 180 days to rule on whatever and if whether the impeachment should be upheld. I respect the decision of the National Assembly, Han said on Friday, adding that he will wait for the Constitutional Court's decision. He also said that would suspend his duties, not add to the chaos. Azerbaijan's transport minister has said the Azerbaijani airline planes that crashed on 25 December was subjected to external interference and damaged inside and out as it tried to land in Russia's southern republic of Chechnya. All the survivors without exception stated they heard Three blast sounds when the aircraft was above Grozny, said Rashid Nobiev. The plane is thought to have come around and under fire from Russian air defense systems before being diverted across the Caspian Sea to Kazakhstan, where it crashed with the loss of 38 lives. The Kremlin has refused to comment, but the head of Russia's civil aviation agency said the situation in Grozny was very complicated at the time and a closed skies protocol has been put in place. Ukrainian combat drones were launching terrorist attack on civilian infrastructure in the cities of Grozny and Vladivostok, said Dmitry Yadrov, head of the Rostov-Vistyaz, in a video statement posted on Russia's TASS news agency. Because of this, carpet plan was introduced in the area of Grozny, providing the immediate departure of all aircrafts from the specified areas, he said. In addition, there was a dense fog in the area of Grozny airport. Ukrainian presidential spokesperson Andriy Yermak has said Russia must be held responsible for the crash. Azerbaijani Airlines said on Friday that a preliminary inquiry has blamed both physical and technical external interferences without going into details. However, aviation experts and others in the Azerbaijani believes the plane GPS system were affected by electronic jamming and it was damaged by shrapnel from Russian air defense missile blast. The transport minister said investigators would now examine what kind of weapons, or rather what kind of rockets, were used. The government in Baku has so far avoided directly accusing Russia, possibly to avoid antagonizing President Vladimir Putin. However, pro-government MP Rasim was clear the plane was shot down after Russian territory in the skies over Grozny, denying this impossible. He told AFP news agency the plane had been damaged and the pilot had asked to make an emergency landing in Grozny. Instead of being directed to a nearby airport, he said it was sent far away across the Caspian Sea without GPS. Flight attendant Zulfikar described the moment when the plane was hit by some kind of external strikes over Chechnya. The head of the World Health Organization (WHO) and other United Nations staff were at Yemen International Airport in Sana'a on Thursday during Israeli airstrikes, which are reported to have killed at least 6 people. WHO Director General Tedros said they were about to board a plane when the attack began. Howdy Run Saba news agency said 3 people were killed at the airport and 30 injured. It said another 3 people were killed and 10 wounded in the western Hodira province. The Iran-backed rebel group described the attack, which also hit power station and ports, as barbaric. Israel's military said it carried out intelligence-based strike on military targets. It is unclear whether the fatalities were civilian or how the rebels. In a statement on X, Dr. Tedros said he was in Yemen to negotiate the release of UN staff detainees and to assess the health and humanitarian situation in the country. He provided no further information about who the UN detainees were. Referring to the strikes on Sana'a's airport, he said, the air traffic control tower, the departure launch just a few meters from where we were, and the runway were damaged. We will need to wait for the damage to the airport to be repaired before we can leave, Dr. Tedros added. US and United Nations Security General Antonio Guterres called the strikes especially alarming. I regret the recent escalation between Yemen and Israel and remain deeply concerned about the risk of further escalation in the region. He wrote on X in a statement, the Israeli Defense Forces, that is IDF, said its fighter jets conducted intelligence-based strikes on military targets belonging to the Houthi terrorist regime on the western coast and inland Yemen. It targeted military infrastructure at Sana'a's airport as well as the Hejaz and Ras Qanat power stations and sites in the Al Hudaya, Salif and Ras Qanat ports on the western coast, the IDF said. NATO has said it will enhance its military presence in the Baltic Sea, and Estonia has sent a patrol ship to protect its S-Link, one undersea power cable, after Russia was accused of sabotaging its main power link in the Gulf of Finland. A ship named as Eagle S is suspected of damaging the S-Link 2 cable, and Finnish Coast Guard crew have boarded the oil tankers and steered it into Finnish water. The EU said the Eagle S was part of Russia's shadow fleet, and the failure of the undersea cable was the latest in the series of suspected attacks on critical infrastructure. Estonian Defence Minister Hannu Pevkur said the Raju had set sail early on Friday, and we believed Finland would join the operation to protect the remaining cable. He told Estonian public radio that Raju's task was to ensure that nothing happens there and that our critical connection with the Finland remains operational. The Kremlin has declined to comment on the damage to the cable, describing it as a very narrow issue and not an issue for Russian presidency. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte said on social media that he had spoken to Finland's President Alexander Stubb, adding the NATO would boost its presence in the Baltic. A further statement by the alliance said only that NATO remains vigilant and is working to provide further support. Finland and Estonia, both NATO members, and Estonia Prime Minister Kristen Michael told public TV that if necessary they would invoke Article number 4 of NATO treaty, which involves consultation if any member state feels threatened. Our wish would be to receive reinforcement from NATO in the form of a fleet to act as a deterrent. He was quoted as saying by news agency BNS, Estonia power supply has been dramatically reduced after its 170-kilometer S-Link 2 cable was shut down. In its initial assessment on Thursday, Finland's Fingrid company said repairs to the cable could last until the end of July 2025. The damage to S-Link 2 is the third incident in the little more than a month in the Baltic Sea. We have to see how the issue unfolds in the couple of months. At least 69 people, including 25 Malians, have died after a boat bound for Spain from West Africa capsized off Morocco. Mali's authority have confirmed the makeshift boat was carrying about 80 people, but only 11 people survived. Said in a statement from Ministry of Malian Abroad, at least 9 of the survivors are from Mali. The boat capsized last week, but the ministry confirmed the incident on Thursday. A crisis unit has been dispatched to monitor the situation, it said. Mali has suffered years of jihadist and separatist violence, resulting in military coup in 2020 and 2021. The junta promised to hold elections to return to civilian rule by March 2024, but this has not happened yet. The instability in the country due to widespread jihadist insurgency has made much of the north and east ungovernable. Unemployment and the effects of climate change on farming have also forced many to seek greener pastures in Europe. But the crossing is perilous, according to a Spanish right charity, Caminando Forteras. More than 10,000 people have died attempting to reach Spain by boat from Africa this year, making it difficult for the world's most dangerous migrant routes. The organization found there were average of 30 deaths a day. The migration route, which spans from the Atlantic coast of the Mauritania and Morocco to Spain, is regarded as one of the most dangerous in the world. Many of those taking this dangerous route come from sub-Saharan African, escaping poverty and conflict in their home countries. Morocco is just 8 nautical miles, that is 14 kilometers from Spain's mainland at its closest point. China has launched its first next-generation amphibious assault ships, adding a powerful cutting-edge warship to the country's fast-expanding navy as it races to rival the military power of the United States. The Type 076 amphibious assault ships entered the water on Friday at a launch ceremony at a shipyard in Shanghai, the People's Liberation Army Navy plan said in a statement. Named Sichuan after near a southwestern Chinese province, the independently developed ship is hailed as a key asset for advancing the Navy's transformation and enhancing its long-range operational capabilities. According to the statement, China, which already boasted the largest naval force in the world, is building carriers and large warships at the staggering pace as it seeks to project power far beyond its shores and catch up the military supremacy of the United States. With a full load displacement of over 40,000 tons, the Type 076 ranks among the world's largest amphibious assault ships, featuring a twin-island superstructure and a full-length flight deck, according to the plan. Most notably, it adopts an electromagnetic catapult system which allows it to carry fixed-wing aircraft along with helicopters and amphibious equipment usually found on its type of warship. The plan added the electromagnetic catapult system was enabled to the Type 076 to launch the larger and heavier aircraft than it could without the technology. That means the aircraft can carry more fuel, expanding their range and that of the ship as a fighting platforms, and more bomb of missiles, making the aircraft themselves more lethal. Only one another ship in service worldwide, the United States Navy newest aircraft carrier, the USS Gerald R. Ford, employs the electromagnetic catapult system apart from the Chinese system now that we are reading. A newborn baby died from the cold in a tent encampment in Al-Mawasi in the southern Gaza, a health official said Wednesday, highlighting the stark challenges to survival faced by Palestinian children displaced from their homes amid Israel's ongoing assault on the Strip. Salah Mahmoud Al-Fasi froze to death from the extreme cold in Al-Mawasi. Dr. Munir Al-Bursh, the Director General of the Ministry of Health in Gaza, posted on X on Wednesday. In the past week, at least 4 infants have died of hypothermia from low temperatures and a lack of access to warmth while living in tents. Dr. Ahmed Al-Farah, the head of pediatrics and obstetrics at the Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis, said on Thursday among them were a 3-day children and a 1-month-old who was also died in the Al-Mawasi, he said. Staff in neonatal ICU sees at least 5 cases of hypothermia per day, adding Al-Farah. Reduced breastfeeding and limited availability of infant formula has seriously compounded the risk of hypothermia among babies, he told CNN. Meanwhile, health workers are struggling to treat young patients due to shortages of electricity, diesel, and other fuel. This is one of the disastrous results of the criminal war, said Al-Farah. Al-Mawasi, a coastal region west of the Rafah previously designated by Israel as a humanitarian area, has repeatedly come under Israeli attacks. Thousands of displaced Palestinians have moved there in search of refuge, living for months in makeshift tents made of cloth and nylon. Today's global market trends reflect a challenging day with red dominating most indices, especially in the United States. The Dow Jones Industrial Average shed 346 points, down 0.80%, as investors digested mixed economic data and potential macroeconomic headwinds. The S&P 500 and Nasdaq faced even steeper declines, losing 1.23% and 1.74% respectively. This signals a broad-based sell-off, particularly in tech-heavy sectors. The VIX, often seen as the market's fear gauge, rose by 2.50%, indicating heightened volatility and caution among investors. The Russell 2000, representing smaller cap stocks, wasn't spared either, dropping 1.81%. It suggests that risk-off sentiment is hitting across market caps. Moving to Canada, the S&P TSX Composite and S&P TSX 60 indices posted slight losses, down 0.23% and 0.22% respectively, reflecting minor weakness in the country's broader equity market. In Latin America, Brazil's Bovespa fell by 0.56%, while Child's S&P IPSA managed to buck the trend, rising modestly by 0.18%. Notably, Mexico's S&P BMV IPC gained 0.22%, closing up 111 points, signaling some resilience in the region amid the US downturn. Overall, the day underscores a sentiment shift as global markets face concern over economic uncertainty and potential interest rate movements. Investors should brace for potential volatility as 2024 closes and the market outlooks for 2025 comes into focus. Stay with us for more insights on these evolving trends. Let's dive into today's commodity market trends, which highlight diverging paths for energy, precious metal, and agriculture. Starting with energy, WTI crude oil CL00 and Brent crude oil BC00 both saw positive momentum, gaining 1.47% and 1.37% respectively. WTI closed at $70.64 per barrel, while Brent edged up to $73.85 per barrel. The upward movement is likely fueled by market optimism over a potential increase in global demands for supply constraints. These gains are a reassuring sign for energy investors after recent volatility. However, natural gas tumbled by 3.53%, closing at $3.58. The sharp decline could reflect milder weather forecast or oversupply in the market, dampening demand expectations from the heating fuel as winter progresses. In the metal sector, gold dipped by 0.74%, ending at $2,634 per ounce. Similarly, silver fell by 1.20%, closing at $30.02. These declines suggest the investors are pivoting away from safe haven asset, potentially reallocating towards riskier equities or other investment opportunities. Agriculture saw a modest loss in soya beans, which closed at $9.91, down to 0.63%, with its price stabilizing near the lower end of its recent range. Traders are likely keeping a close eye on the global supply condition and export demands. Today, trends showcase a commodities market shaped by varied global factors, from energy demand dynamics to shift in safe haven assets appeal. As we close out the year, all eyes are on geopolitical developments and macroeconomic data to gauge the direction for these key markets in 2025. Stay tuned for more further updates. We'll be right back after a short break. I'm Shweta Simar. Keep watching Millennium Daytime Bulletin.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Welcome back after a break. I'm Shweta Simar from New Delhi and you're watching Millennium Daytime Bulletin. Now let's look at some sports highlight. The Bluebirds were loud and clear Thursday night at Soldier Field following the latest Chicago Bears loss. On a chilly, rainy night in Illinois, the Bears lost to the Seattle Seahawks in a 3-6 defensive struggle between both squads on Thursday Night Football. Needing a field goal to at least force overtime, rookie quarterback Caleb Williams drove the Chicago offense all the way to the Seattle 40-yard line. With a field goal attempt out of reach on fourth down, it was up to Williams to cover to keep the Bears alive, but the things went our way. The 23-year-old number 1 overall pick was hit as he threw the ball and was intercepted by the Seattle cornerbacker Tariq Woolen, securing the win for the Seahawks. It was Williams' first interception in 354 passes which had been the longest streak by a rookie in NFL history. The Seahawks defense sacked Williams 7 times to help keep them alive in the NFC playoff picture. NFL.com currently has Seattle with a 15% chance to make the postseason. In the sign that perhaps Chicago needs to improve its offensive line, Williams has been sacked 67 times this season. Former Houston Texan quarterback David Carr holds the NFL record for most times sacked with 76 back in 2002. In the midst of Chicago fans chanting "Sell the team," Seattle signal caller Smith told the Amazon Prime broadcast that the team doesn't care how they get wins. Defense played tremendous, Smith said. At this point, we don't care how we get wins. We just want to win games. I don't care if it was 5-4. We got the dub. It was hard to fought the game. Our defense was light out. Seattle improves to 9-7 on the season and can clinch the NFC West with a bit of help. If the LA Rams lose on Saturday against the Arizona Cardinals and the Seahawks beat LA to close out the regular season, Seattle will win the division and book a ticket to the postseason. Steve Smith continued his revival with the magnificent century as he had Australians bowler put to the host firmly on the top against India after a day or two of the fourth test in Melbourne. After ending a run of 26 test innings without a ton in the third test in the Brisbane, Smith followed up with a belligerent 140 to help Australia post 474 in their first inning. It was the 34-year-old 34th test series and moved him up to join 7th on the all-time list in a 5-strong group that includes Brian Lara and Sunil Gavaskar. Smith's knock included a crucial 112-run partnership for the 7th wicket with captain Pat Cummins, who hit 49. Smith was eventually dismissed in the bizarre fashion when he charged Akash deep and the ball hit to the pads of the inside edge before rolling into his leg stump. India skipper Rohit Sharma's poor runs off form with the bat continued when he fell just 3 off the bowling of the Cummins at the start of India's reply. The Australia skipper then bowled KL Rahul with a beauty just before tea to leave India reeling on 51 2 out. Yashasvi Jaiswal and Virat Kohli steadied the innings with a partnership of 102 before a desperate mix-up saw Jaiswal run out for 82. Scott Boland then removed Kohli for 36 and deep for a duck as India limped to 164 and 5 out at the close, still trailing by 310 runs before Jaiswal dismissal. They have been going along handily in 183 on 2 out. The 5 matches series is level at 1-1 with the both sides looking to win and 3-1 to guarantee a place in the World Cup Test Final Championship. That's all for now. Thank you for tuning in. Stay with us for more updates. Log in to stay updated with the latest news on our social media platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and TikTok at Millennium News 24. Don't forget to check out our YouTube channel Millennium News 24. You can also watch us on Android and iOS devices as well as on Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV and all smart TV platforms. Enjoy entertainment and latest news with us. Download the Millennium TV app, Millennium TV USA for Android and Millennium News on Google. Thank you for being part of Millennium News 24.